You know what's funny? People think death is some grand, dramatic curtain call. A flash of light, a gasp, the end. But the truth is, death is quiet, subtle. It tiptoes in, starts in places no one watches. In the legs. That's right, the legs. The part of you that's supposed to move you forward, keep you standing, keep you running. But when the life starts leaking out, it doesn't scream. It stiffens, flows. You stop walking as far. You stop dancing. You sit longer. You tell yourself you're tired, overworked, drained. But you're not tired. You're being erased slowly. Death. So misunderstood. People expect it to crash in like a thunderstorm, tear everything apart with a bang, make a scene, you know? But that's not how it works. No. It's quieter, smarter, a little more patient. Doesn't kick down the door. Oh no. It creeps in through the cracks, the ones you pretend not to see. And the best part, it doesn't even need to work hard. You invite it in with a snack, with every little lie you tell yourself in the mirror each morning, that you're fine, that this is just life, that pain in your legs, just age, just stress, just nothing. But it's something, all right. It's the beginning of the end, only you dressed it up in casual clothes. Pain doesn't just show up for no reason. It's a signal, a siren. Red lights flashing in the hallway of your body, but you put on noise-canceling headphones and call it Tuesday. It starts with tired knees, a little swelling, some stiffness, nothing worth screaming over, right? But it's not about the pain, it's about what it means. It's your body whispering, we're losing this fight. And you laugh, keep scrolling, keep chewing, keep pretending you've got time. See, death loves when you're distracted, loves when you're entertained. That's when it works best. Because while you're focused on your next click, your next bite, your next excuse, it's moving in. Not in your chest, not in your heart. No, that would be too obvious, too dramatic. It starts small. It starts where you ignore it the most. The legs. Because if the legs go, you stop moving. And when you stop moving, well, you start dying. And it all looks so innocent. Sit a little longer. Rest a little more. You've earned it, right? But you haven't earned peace. You've earned a warning. A red flag wrapped in fatigue. And instead of reading it, you fold it up, put it in your pocket, and walk right back into the fire, with your legs burning and your mouth full of what's killing you. And the worst part, you know. You've always known. You feel it when you wake up slower than before, when stairs feel steeper, when the ground feels farther away, but you still choose silence, still choose sugar, still choose slow poison served in comfort. Because death doesn't need to chase you if you keep walking toward it. One bite at a time. One I'll start tomorrow at a time. You talk about discipline like it's some superhero cape you lost in your childhood. You talk about health like it's a privilege for the rich. But the truth is you traded your strength for convenience. You sold your fire for flavor. You gave up your mobility in exchange for mouthfuls of decay. And now you pretend to be shocked when your body sends out the smoke signal. But here's the little joke life plays on you. It gives you a choice over and over again. And every time you pick the wrong one, you get just a little closer to the edge. But you don't fall. Not yet. You just lean. You lean with every skipped walk, every ignored symptom. Every night you say, I'll fix this later. There is no later. There is only now. And death? He's not running at you, he's walking because he knows you'll meet him halfway. You're not unlucky, you're not cursed, you're not a victim, you're a participant. You signed the contract. Every time you ate what you knew you shouldn't, every time you laughed off the pain, every time you told someone I'm fine when you weren't. You're the author of your own erosion, and you're writing the ending in crumbs and wrappers. You think a miracle is going to save you, that some pill or prayer will erase years of betrayal. But this isn't a movie, this is biology, this is war. And you've been losing because you stopped showing up. They say knowledge is power. Cute phrase, but what good is power if you refuse to use it? You know what kills you, you just hope it'll take its time. You hope maybe, just maybe, you'll get away with it. That you'll eat death in tiny doses and still live a full life. But death doesn't gamble. It collects quietly, on schedule, and he loves punctual people like you. The ones who never miss a day of self-destruction. You're not dying because life is hard. You're dying because you made it easy. Easy to choose the wrong thing. Easy to say just this once, every night for years. Easy to forget that your legs were meant for running, not rusting. But you don't need more time. You've had time. You need truth. You need to feel every single silent step that took you here. You need to stop pretending your pain is random. It's earned. It's honest. It's the only part of you that still refuses to lie. The question is, will you listen? Or will you wait until silence becomes the only sound left? You know what's funny? You wouldn't pour acid on a plant and expect it to bloom. You wouldn't serve garbage to a guest and say, bon appetit. But when it comes to your own body, your own insides, suddenly the rules change. Suddenly trash is treat and poison's just a guilty pleasure. You shove things down your throat like your stomach is a landfill. And then gasp when your body breaks down like a rusted out car in the middle of nowhere. It's comical, really. The grand delusion. You think you're getting away with it because your heart's still beating. But that beat, it's not victory, it's a countdown. See, food talks. It doesn't need a voice. It speaks through the way your joints creak, Your back aches, your mind fogs. It leaves little sticky notes on the walls of your organs. Thanks for the sugar, says your pancreas, but I'm done. Your liver's been scrubbing your messes like a janitor with a cracked mop, and even it's starting to call in sick. Your stomach? It's screaming in languages you refuse to learn. All because you like the taste of death more than the sound of reason. And don't get me started on the people who say you only live once, as if that's a reason to live faster, harder, dumber. You don't live once, you die once. You live every day until you don't. And each day you wake up and feed yourself things that strip you from the inside. You're not living, you're rehearsing for the end, again and again, one bite at a time, until practice becomes performance and the curtain falls on a life that could have been. You treat your body like a rental, slam it into the ground, overfeed it, underrest it, spill drinks on the upholstery. Then, when it starts coughing and groaning, you say, "What's wrong with me?" What's wrong is that you stopped listening. You handed the wheel to cravings. You let chemicals in suits whisper lies into your blood. And now your gut's in knots, your nerves are on strike, and you think it's all just stress. It's not stress, it's sabotage from the inside out, and you're the saboteur, with your hands full of excuses, with your eyes glued to screens and your mouth full of flavor but void of nourishment. You think flavor is freedom, but it's a leash. They made food addictive on purpose, and you took the bait like a dog chasing a bone full of barbed wire. They taught you that fast is better, that cheap is easier, that taste matters more than truth. But food doesn't just sit in your stomach, it travels. It becomes you. It becomes your thoughts, your skin, your energy, or lack of it. You think your depression is a personality trait? It's a symptom. You think your fatigue is just because you work hard? Try again. You're running on fumes because you're eating like survival is the goal. Not strength, not clarity, just existence. Barely. And you call that living. You can't fuel a machine with sludge and wonder why it breaks down. You can't pour syrup into an engine and expect horsepower. But that's what you do, day in, day out. Feed yourself things even cockroaches would second guess, and then cry when your legs go numb and your brain can't finish a sentence. But here's the punchline. You did it. To you. And you're still doing it. Even now, while you hear these words, some part of you is thinking about what you'll eat next. And it won't be salvation, it'll be sabotage in disguise. The truth, your fork is a weapon, not a tool, not a friend, a weapon. And you hold it 3 times a day like it's a game, but each bite is a bet, and the house always wins. They want you sick, weak, addicted. They want your money spent on treatments, not prevention. They want you begging for pills, not reaching for plants, because sick people are customers. But a healthy mind and a healthy body, that's dangerous. That's unpredictable. That's free. And freedom, my friend, isn't good for business. So you walk into the store and pick your poison with a smile. You unwrap your future with greasy fingers. You bite down on disease and wash it down with bubbles. And you call it normal. You call it life. But it's not. It's slow movement suicide, decorated with branding and jingles and happy meals. They gave you death in pretty packaging, and you clapped, you posted it, you celebrated it like you won something. But the only thing you won was another nail in your coffin, dipped in chocolate and sprinkled with lies. You don't need more willpower. You need rage. You need to be angry enough to see through the tricks, to flip the table, to scream, not anymore. Because this isn't about taste. This is about control. Who has it, who lost it, and who's ready to take it back, not with a whisper, but with a war cry. One plate at a time. You wake up, right? Rub your eyes, stumble out of bed, maybe check your phone first thing because, hey, notifications matter more than oxygen now. And for a split second you forget you're broke. Not in your wallet, no, deeper than that. I'm talking soul broke, spirit broke. The kind of broke you can't fix with a loan or a vacation or one of those self-care bubble baths everyone keeps lying about. You walk through your life like a glitch in the system, wondering why everything feels just a little bit off, like the volume's down on the universe and no one gave you the remote. They said you'd feel it when it's time, said you'd know when the stars aligned, but they didn't tell you the stars are quiet. And the signs, oh, the signs are subtle, hidden like bruises under makeup. They come in whispers, not thunder. In missed calls and strange dreams and gut feelings you keep dismissing because logic is louder than instinct, and you were taught to ignore the parts of you that can't be proven with charts or credentials or someone else's permission. And now you sit in a room with 100 broken clocks all ticking out of sync and wonder why you can't find the rhythm, why things aren't clicking. But maybe, just maybe, it's because you walked past the signal. That moment that wasn't just a moment, that decision you delayed, that detour you ignored because it didn't come with instructions or flashing lights or the approval of everyone watching. You think you missed something, and you're right, but it's not lost. It's just waiting, like a scene paused in a movie no one's watching anymore. That's the thing about signs. They don't wait forever. They move, shift, disappear if you stare too long without acting. They knock politely, once, maybe twice. But if you pretend not to hear them, they stop knocking. And what do? You blame the world, the timing, the people who didn't believe in you. But deep down you know, it wasn't them, it was you. You who heard the call and didn't pick up. You who got the message and laughed it off because it didn't come wrapped in gold or dipped in certainty. You're not cursed, you're not unlucky, you're just distracted. The sign came, it might have looked like a stranger's words that hit a little too close, or a coincidence that felt a little too perfect, but you shrugged it off, didn't you? said maybe later, like time is something you own, like chances come with guarantees and second rounds. But life doesn't run on your schedule. It's got its own agenda, and it's tired of waiting for you to stop scrolling and start moving. People always think the sign is going to be something dramatic, fire in the sky, voice from the clouds. But no, it's quiet. It's in the pit of your stomach, in the tingle behind your eyes, in the stillness that doesn't make sense. It's in the person you keep bumping into, the dream that keeps repeating, the opportunity that looks too small to matter but feels too big to ignore. And it showed up. Right there, right then. And you blinked. You hesitated. You waited for a better version, one with bells and whistles and applause. But signs don't come dressed for a performance. They come raw. They come honest. They come once. Now here you are, pacing in circles, asking why it feels like you're stuck, like everyone else got the memo and you're still refreshing the page, but maybe the memo was sent, and maybe you read it, and maybe you threw it away because it didn't look like what you expected, and now time's ticking louder. Life's whispering again, a little less patient, a little more stern, because you were chosen, sure, but being chosen doesn't mean being coddled. It means responsibility. It means attention, and attention, my friend, is what you haven't been paying. So the path is still there, faint, covered in dust and detours, but it's not gone. And the sign? It might come again, but this time it won't knock. It'll crash through the window if you're lucky, or it'll leave for good if you're not. Because there's nothing more tragic than potential with no action, a calling with no answer, a life built on missed moments and excuses dressed up like logic. So now what? Keep missing it? Or finally feel the sting of truth and do something before the silence becomes permanent and the sign walks away for good? Now we're getting somewhere, aren't we? Number 4, the forgotten chapter. The part they skip in the fairy tales and gloss over in the sermons. You want the prize, the glory, the arrival, but not the process. No one wants the crawl, the silence, the nights when you talk to the ceiling like it owes you answers. They told you to be patient and you rolled your eyes like patience was for the weak, like waiting was beneath you. But here's the secret. The miracle isn't in the moment it shows up. It's in the stretch of time right before. The waiting room of life, where most people lose their minds and forfeit their destiny. See, this is where most fall off, right here. This space between the almost and the not yet. Where things look the same every day, where hope starts to taste stale, where you scream into the void and it just echoes back your own doubt. You start thinking maybe it was all a joke, maybe you were wrong to believe, maybe you imagined the whole thing. And that's when the game gets dangerous. Not when you're failing, but that's when people start building cages out of logic and call it being realistic. That's when they shrink their dreams down to fit their fear and sell themselves on safety. You were given something rare, Not money, not fame, not followers. Vision. And vision is a burden, darling, not a gift. At least, not right away. Because once you see it, once you feel it, you can't unsee it. And then you're stuck walking around with a blueprint for a house you haven't built yet. And people keep asking why you're carrying bricks through the desert. They laugh, they whisper, they wait for you to quit. And maybe, some days, you want to. But then there's this ache, this itch under your skin, the one that keeps you from giving up even when you swear you're done. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. It ruins your taste for mediocrity. It haunts you every time you try to settle for less. That right there, that's the evidence. The sign you're still chosen, still called, still in the running, even if your feet are dragging and your breath is short. People love to talk about arrival, but no one tells you that arriving somewhere worth being usually involves getting lost first, or that the map you were given might burn up halfway through the journey. And you'll have to finish with nothing but instinct and bruises and a laugh that sounds a little too unhinged for polite company. But that's what makes the story worth telling. Not the ending, but the part where you kept walking when everyone else sat down. You ever wonder why it's taking so long? Why the promise hasn't shown up? Maybe it's not because the universe is slow. Maybe it's because you're still being made into the version of you that can actually hold the thing you've been praying for. You say you're ready, but are you really? You want the throne, but have you learned how to rule? You want the money, but can you handle the weight of wealth without it crushing the parts of you still clinging to scarcity? You want the love, but will you know how to keep it when it isn't wrapped in butterflies and fireworks? That's the real joke. You think the wait is punishment, but it's protection. You think the silence means no, but it might be a pause button pressed by something bigger than you, because handing you the miracle too soon would have ruined you. You're being taught how to carry gold without it turning you greedy, how to be trusted with the kingdom without becoming a tyrant, how to finally receive without self-sabotaging halfway through. And all the while, people around you are watching. Ooh, they don't say much, but they see you, and they're waiting too. Waiting for the moment you explode or disappear or give up so they can say, "Told you so." But when you don't, when you keep going, when you show up one more day with nothing but cracked hands and a stubborn smile, that's when things start shifting. Not on the outside, no, not yet, but inside. That's where the ground moves first. That's where the roots grow. And roots don't get applause. They don't trend, but they hold the weight when the blessing finally arrives. So the test isn't in the waiting, it's in who you become while you wait. Whether you grow bitter or better, whether you numb yourself or feel everything, whether you sit down or stand up, even when your knees won't stop shaking, because the miracle It's not just what you'll receive, it's what you'll survive to become someone who won't waste it when it finally knocks on your door. You want to talk about destiny, do you? Purpose? Calling? That little fire inside your chest that burns even when the world dumps its coldest buckets of doubt over your head? You think you're the only one who ever felt like maybe, just maybe, you were built for something more? That kind of thought doesn't come from nowhere. It's sewn into your bones, like a code, like a glitch in the system that won't shut up. And every time you try to live a normal life, it screams louder, doesn't it? Every time you clock into that job you hate, or scroll past someone doing what you know deep down you could do better, it pulses behind your eyes. But here's the catch. Everyone wants the crown until they realize it comes with a price tag most can't afford. The isolation, the discipline, the inner chaos. No one tells you that being chosen feels an awful lot like being forgotten until the moment you're not. And by then, you've already walked through so many storms, you're dripping with silence and fury. You learned to smile in rooms where your soul was screaming. You mastered the art of pretending like everything's fine while your dreams bled out behind your back. You want the truth? Fine. The truth is, being chosen means being refined, scraped, peeled. You lose people. You lose comfort. You lose versions of yourself you thought were permanent. And still you keep going, not because you're strong, not because you're fearless, but because something inside you refuses to die quietly. Because even when you're on your knees, choking on disappointment, there's still a whisper, not a shout, not a sermon, a whisper that says, keep moving. People see the end result, the applause, the spotlight, the miracle. They don't see the nights you prayed with clenched fists and bloodshot eyes. They don't see the opportunities you missed because your heart wasn't ready. They don't hear the thoughts that echo through your skull when the world goes to sleep. You learned to walk with wounds that never healed properly, and you still smiled. Not because everything was okay, but because you decided to be dangerous anyway. You ever notice how the world teaches you to be quiet when you're hurting? Keep it cute. Keep it clean. Don't make them uncomfortable. But when you're chosen, you can't fake peace. You can't mask that kind of internal war. It's all over your face, in your walk, in your eyes. There's a madness to people like you. Not the kind that destroys. No. The kind that resurrects. The kind that says, I will rise, even if I have to build the ground with my bare hands. They'll say you changed, of course you did. You had to. Staying the same would have killed you. And the old version of you, the one who cared too much about what they thought, the one who asked for permission to shine, you buried that one, gave it a quiet funeral with no tears, because you realized no one was coming to save you. Not the system, not the applause, not the empty affirmations. You saved yourself piece by piece, scar by scar. And now When you walk into a room, it shakes. Not because you're loud, but because you're no longer afraid to be seen. See, the thing about miracles, real ones, is that they don't show up in halos and harps. They come disguised. They look like a job loss, a breakup, a breakdown. They come wrapped in chaos and covered in silence. And if you blink too fast, you'll miss them. Because real miracles don't knock. They break the door down and dare you to survive the wreckage. And here you are, still standing, still breathing. That alone is proof. That's the receipt. You walked through hell and came out with your voice intact. You were called, and not just to survive, but to build, to speak, to shake the ground beneath you with words that cut through illusions and expose the truth. And not everyone will get it. They're not supposed to. It wasn't a conference call, it was a whisper meant only for you. So no, you're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not making it up. You're the evidence. Living, breathing proof that when the fire comes, it doesn't always burn you down. Sometimes it forges a version of you so unshakable, even the darkness starts to flinch when you walk in the room.